You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And tonight, Klay Thompson had a shot to win it all at the buzzer, but he drew iron as the Warriors fall 108-106 to the Dallas Mavericks on the road. Steph did everything he could offensively, and the whole squad showed a ton of effort on defense. But the wear and tear of the recent road trips seemed to have just caught up with the dubs in this one. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Also, thanks for checking out our show on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're getting us, we appreciate it. Make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors daily show for more in-depth coverage. Cyrus does a great job. In this one, the Mavs got off to a hot start, and the Warriors seemed to be dead in the water early on in this one. I thought the Mavs were just going to run away with this, but a 9-0 run put them up 16 early on. PJ Washington just draining threes in this one. Where is Eric Paschall when you need him? I saw Tim Kawakami tweet that out. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, Eric Paschall gave PJ Washington the work a ton when those two had their duels, weirdly enough, in that weird lockout season, or COVID season, not lockout season, but the weird COVID season and afterwards when Paschall was kind of a highlight for the Warriors for a minute there. But tonight, PJ Washington did it all for the Dallas Mavericks. He led them in scoring with 32 points, had 5 steals for PJ Washington, 2 blocks. He had 5 boards as well, 3 assists, 5 of 8 from downtown, 12 of 18 from the field. He really did it all on a night when the Mavericks didn't have Luka, and they needed someone else to step up and be Robin to Kyrie's Batman. And Kyrie tonight, 42 minutes played. He played a ton in this one, 9 for 19 from the field, but he was orchestrating that offense masterfully and grabbed a lot of rebounds. 8 boards for Kyrie, 7 assists, 26 points in this one for him as well. This was a very tough matchup for the Warriors. I mean, they looked gassed, absolutely gassed in this one, and you can't really blame them. They've had so many games on the road, and then they had that one game at home, but you get to sleep in your own bed, but then you're turning right around the next day and getting on a plane again. So the Warriors not staying in the same place for more than a night or two at most recently, and the travel, the fatigue seems to have finally caught up with them. They've played a ton of close games recently. This one, obviously, another close one as they fall by 2. And this one was back and forth all night long. You saw 10 different lead changes in this one, 10 different ties as well. So back and forth all night long. This could have gone either way. And credit the Warriors for sticking in this one. The way they fell behind early on, they could have easily rolled over, and no one would have really blamed them too much for this one, because you're coming off that win against the Rockets, that big emotional win, and you kind of fall flat on the next game in a back-to-back, the final game before coming back home against the Utah Jazz. Warriors finally get another game back at Chase Center. And it would be understandable if they didn't fight their way back into this one, but they weren't having that. They scratched and clawed, and by the end of the first quarter, they were actually leading by 1. CP3 has been excellent at the end of quarters, forcing turnovers in this one and just orchestrating the offense in 2-for-1 situations and making sure that the Warriors always get the most out of those end of quarter possessions, which has been really, really key in this one. That was the difference, was how these ends of quarters played out. The Mavs ended the fourth quarter and the third quarter a little bit better than they ended the first quarter and the second quarter, and that proved to be the difference. The Warriors early on were winning all of the hustle plays. They led in almost every single hustle stat category at half. They had more rebounds than the Mavs, more points off turnovers, scoring in transition. Everything the Warriors were doing, just the shots weren't really falling tonight for the Warriors as much. They struggled to get the the ball in the cylinder in the second quarter. I mean, Klay was the only person to score until about halfway, a little more than halfway through the second quarter, and scoring was just not easy to come by for the Warriors in this one. Their legs looked tired. Their shots were falling flat. You saw Steph airball a three in the fourth quarter. They all looked tired, man. They looked gassed. And TJD looked pretty gassed in this one as well. He looked pretty good in the first half, and in the second half just fell off. He did all of his rebounding in the first half. He had 5 offensive boards. He looked pretty good, and then the legs just kind of seemed to give out. He only played 20 minutes in this one, so he obviously, the fatigue was catching up to a guy like TJD, who's not used to starting in this many games in a season and in playing this many minutes for this extended period of a time. The fatigue is catching up, and that's going to happen. He's young. He's a rookie. He'll bounce back. He'll get his legs underneath him once the Warriors have a couple days off and again play the Jazz Sunday at Chase Center. So some time to rest, time to go back home and get your legs back underneath you. For a lot of guys too. Moses Moody got the start tonight in place of Andrew Wiggins. No Wiggins and no Kuminga in this one for the Warriors. We talked in their last game afterwards about if Wiggins and Kuminga could coexist, and I would like to have at least one of them out on the court in this one, but Kuminga's return keeps getting pushed back, still dealing with that knee issue. Wiggins dealing with an ankle. He rolled his ankle at the end of the Houston Rockets game and wasn't able to go in this one. I think a lot of this was also just fatigue. The Warriors knowing that they don't necessarily need to win this game coming into it anymore. Like they're out of that fear for their playoff lives, or play-in lives, I should say. But you still had a golden opportunity tonight to make up some games on some key opponents. I mean, the Kings lost tonight. The Pelicans lost tonight. If the Warriors had beaten the Mavs, that's 3 teams that are directly ahead of them in the postseason standings that they could make up a game on. And there was, coming into tonight, only a 3-game difference between the 10th seed, the Warriors, and the 6th seed, the Suns. So the Warriors needing to win some games if they want to think about climbing up there into that 6th seed and avoiding the play-in. Brandon Pajemski mentioned that that's a goal of theirs at that halftime interview, but you're going to need some help to get that done. And tonight they didn't help themselves by blowing this one. I shouldn't say they blew this one. They fought hard. They did not sell this game like I thought they were going to in the first quarter. Warriors defense was present all night long. Hustle was there all night long. It just looked like they were tired. You saw in the fourth quarter there when Klay got put back into the game, he looked tired coming off the bench, man. He walks up to the free throw lane and he's got his hands on his knees, completely bent over, and he's been on the bench. I mean, these guys look like they are just gassed. And you saw scoring coming from different players that you normally don't see the Warriors going to in the fourth quarter. GP2 scored 10 points, 10 of his 14 points in that fourth quarter. So, I mean, the horses, your Splash Brothers, Steph and Klay, and of course Draymond and all the other, Chris Paul played a lot of minutes in this one. All those guys have been playing a ton of minutes on the road, and they're obviously not young anymore in NBA terms, and they have a lot of wear and tear and miles on their bodies. Second game of a back-to-back. This has been a long road trip that's grinded them down. Again, the emotional letdown after playing the Rockets in their last time out. You kind of understand why the Warriors lost this one. Although the way Kerr was coaching, he seemed to really want to win this one. He put Steph back in the game with 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He barely got a rest in the second half. Steph really doing everything he could to will the Warriors to victory in this one. Played 35 minutes and got up 23 shots. Like, he just tried so hard to put the team on his back and will them to win. But he couldn't do it all, man. And there was no one really to step up with Wiggins and Kuminga out. There was no second scoring option. Klay, you could tell Klay was tired in that fourth quarter and just didn't really have his legs underneath him. He scored the first 7 Warriors points out of halftime, and after that just seemed like he fell off a cliff. Seemed like his legs were just shot, completely gone after that. And you can't blame him. You really can't blame him. 33 minutes tonight. just nobody else in the second half could step up and put the ball in the cylinder. Brandon Podziemski played a really nice game in this one. Warriors did put him in closing minutes, but he couldn't get it done. And, we got to talk a little bit more on the other side about this Moses Moody start and if that was the right move or if the Warriors maybe should have looked somewhere else. I know that we gave Moses a lot of his flowers on our last podcast, but tonight seems like Steve Kerr might have pushed the wrong button. We'll break that down more on the other side. Lots more to break down from this one. Klay can't hit that winning three. The Warriors defense showing up despite the grind of this road trip. They still showed up with the effort that you want to see right ahead of the playoffs, with them looming right around the corner, and all the other permutations from this one. We got a lot to break down on the Locked On Warriors postcast. Stick with us. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will be right back. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we got to break down whether or not this decision to start Moses Moody tonight was the right one or not by Steve Kerr. And Moody has done enough, I think, to earn this start. Let's just start by saying that. The last 4 or 5 games, Moody's been playing really well, has been scoring in double digits almost every time out, and has been effective on defense. His rebounding has been there. He's always been in the right place at the right time, making the right decision with the basketball, just being a pro, knowing exactly what's expected of him, not trying to do too much, and not playing outside of himself. But tonight, Moses Moody, interestingly enough, had a minus 23 plus minus. Trace Jackson Davis, a minus 26. Not good for either guy, both who have been playing very well as of late. But we're going to focus on Moses Moody here. In the minutes when he was on the floor, the Warriors plus minus was terrible, like minus 20 plus. It was not good with him on the court. And when he came off the court, Brandon Podziemski kind of filled that same role. You have to imagine that was the other option to start tonight in place of Moses Moody and in place of Andrew Wiggins. AirPods, he's a competitor. He's not like a toxic guy, so he's not going to like start an issue or something. But he's a competitor. You know that he probably wanted this start. That he's not going to just be like, oh yeah, Moses, you start this one, no problem. I'll take the bench. AirPods wants to be out there. He wants those starts. He's trying to earn his place on this team just like everybody else is. And Steve Kerr praises him all the time, the great connector, talks about how he just leads the Warriors in plus minus by like 100. And he's always in the closing lineups. He's always in very important like game pivotal situations. You saw him play a lot of minutes in the fourth quarter tonight. And that's really more important is the closing lineup than the starting lineup. But in this one, I think I would have liked to see Brandon Podziemski, the way this turned out, get the start over Moses Moody. And hindsight is 2020, but it just seems like Steve Kerr might have pushed the wrong button on this one. Maybe Moody was just vibing off of the Chris Paul link up, like he was playing pretty well with Kevon Looney also. And he plays well off those guys. And GP2 also, all those guys have a pretty good chemistry going. And Brandon Podziemski gave you a little bit more than Moses Moody did tonight. He scored a little bit better, 14 points from pods, and he just seemed like he was everywhere. 5 assists, 4 boards in the mix for all these loose balls, and he just seemed like he was more involved than Moses Moody in creating the offense for the Warriors. And you think maybe 1 or 2 extra possessions, 1 or 2 extra buckets, they get it done. Maybe that's the difference in this one if Podziemski starts over Moody. Again, this is I think we're splitting hairs here, but you want to see the Warriors be able to capitalize on every single competitive advantage that they can have. And tonight, with no Luka, I'm not going to say you have to win this game, but you really want it, man. You really want this one, especially with the way that this one unfolded today, with the other 2 teams in the West, the Kings and the Pelicans above them, both losing as well tonight. This would have been a great opportunity for the Warriors to make up some ground and keep that 6th seed in their sights. With this loss, I don't know if they can do that. It's going to be kind of tough. Their schedule going forward is not the most daunting schedule. It does get a little bit easier. Their next game is the Utah Jazz on Sunday, but then they take on the Lakers, another opportunity for them to gain some ground. And then the Trailblazers, not the best team in basketball this year. You think the Warriors can probably have a pretty good shot at winning that one. And then they play the Pelicans, and the Pelicans, they're going to need that's another opportunity for the Warriors to make up another game. And then the Utah Jazz one last time. Again, the Jazz, they aren't world beaters this year, but pose a little bit of an interesting matchup with the Warriors with their size that they have, essentially playing 3 bigs. So the Warriors have an opportunity if they can. It's a lot to ask, but if they can win out, they still could theoretically maybe climb to that 6th seed, but they're going to need some help. They're going to need some help, man. And if they're going to do it, they're going to have to hit on every single one of these decisions. They're going to have to make sure that their starting lineup is the right one going forward. It's going to help a lot if Jonathan Kuminga can get back on the court, man. I miss seeing JK out there driving to the lane, throwing down some dunks. The Warriors need some life right now. They seem to be a little tired, a little beat up, and they've been grinding. You can't blame them. I mean, they've been road warriors literally for the last month. I mean, they're in their last coming into this one, they had won 13 or 12 of their last 15 road games, or 15 of their last 18 road games. That's impressive. I mean, 15 of their last 19 is still pretty impressive, but you can't continue to expect that the Warriors are just going to run the table on the road. It's not realistic. I mean, they've proven they can win on the road. That's for sure. But to expect them to win at that same rate, at that same clip, it's just not going to happen in the NBA. It's just not gonna. That's going to regress to the mean a little bit. I mean, I think the Warriors still are going to play very well on the road. They're definitely one of the better road teams in the NBA, but they're not going to continue to, win like that on the road in the playoffs. Hopefully they can throughout the rest of the season, this regular season, because their road opponents are not super tough. They do have to go down to Crypto, where they don't play very well. They play the Lakers down there, and then they have to go to Moda and play the Trailblazers up in Portland. But 3 games at home to close, but with the Jazz, the Pelicans, and the Jazz again, those 3 games all at home. So the Warriors are going to have some opportunities at Chase Center, and they still need to figure out how to win there. That's going to be very important for them, because obviously you need to figure out how to win at home in the playoffs. Warriors are going to from the looks of it, be playing a lot of road playoff games. So maybe that actually bodes well for them, being a team that's going to not really have home court advantage ever in the postseason. So who knows it's going to be tough for the Warriors to climb to that 6th seed, but you still think that they have a shot to cause some damage, and make a run in the postseason. And that's the best you can hope for with this squad. You hope that they get healthy. We talked on the last podcast about how they were getting healthy at the right time, and then they miss Kuminga and Wiggins on their next time out. It just feels like you don't really know this time of year who is really dealing with what. Guys just popping up on the injury report that weren't even game to game or game time decisions before as being out all of a sudden. And it's just that time of year in the NBA. A lot of players dealing with injuries. Nobody's really healthy at this time of the season. It's tough sledding for the Warriors right now, but you got to figure out how to get it done. It's got to come from somewhere. This one, again, close loss for the Warriors, 108-106 in Dallas to the Mavericks. No Luka, but also no Wiggins and no Kuminga. We got to break down the Warriors defense a little bit more on the other side in this one, and just the hustle stats, man. The hustle tonight was evident. It was palpable, and that's what you need to have to make a run in the postseason at this time of the year. That's what's going to carry your team. You can't rely on outscoring guys at this point in the NBA. Every team can shoot. The defense is what is key for the Warriors, and we're going to break it down, everything we saw on the defensive end tonight. When we get back, we're going to take a quick break here. Locked On Warriors postcast continues. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug directly into your existing television set. It provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the NCAA basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On. Meaning you can get me, Triple E, right in your living room, and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep you up to date on the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and so much more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Sounds like the car for you if you live in the Bay Area and make some trips up to Tahoe. It even has class-exclusive Google built in as your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. The days of connecting your phone are officially gone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right into the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system, making the 2024 Rogue the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Armada, and it will change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Picture a rugged 4x4 that can seat up to 8 in first-class luxury and style. Tow bigger and explore further in the 2024 Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. The Warriors tonight fall 108-106 to the Dallas Mavericks. Klay Thompson had a shot at the buzzer to win. The Warriors' final stretch there was gritty, man. Absolutely gritty. And they're doing everything they can to stay in this game. And they did it with defense tonight. And the Mavs are a tough matchup for the Warriors. Gafford inside poses a huge mismatch for them. He is one of the best centers in the NBA this season. And a lot of people haven't realized that because he was kind of toiling away on Washington, on the Wizards, where people just, careers go to die right now. And, shout out Jordan Poole. And, he was just kind of toiling away over there. The Mavs go and scoop him up at the trade deadline. And now he is in a big time position for the Mavericks. And he showed up tonight and posed a problem for the Warriors. But you could tell based on I was watching that matchup a lot tonight. Gafford and the rest of the Warriors, the bigs, just fighting for rebounds, scrapping inside, and there were no easy baskets in this one and no easy rebounds. Every single time that people were going up for a board, it seemed like bodies were flying, man. Like so many guys hitting the deck in this one, and the officials really swallowing their whistles, letting the guys play. There was I think a couple plays that they probably should have blown the whistle on in this one. But I mean, that seemed what the hallmark of this game was to me was defense and grit and grind. And in this one, the Warriors really doing their best to try and will themselves to victory through just the grit and grind of it. I mean, they weren't doing very well from the free throw line, 12 of 18. They actually held the Mavs to just 3 first half free throw attempts, and they gave them 18 in the second half. So not great, but rebounding wise, the Warriors were dominating the offensive boards at the half. The Mavs closed the gap in the second half. Warriors were dominating the boards in general at halftime, and the Mavs finished just 3 rebounds behind them. So that's indicative, I think, of how the wheels just kind of the rubber was just worn down so much. That tread on those tires was so low that the wheels just fell off at the end there. And the Warriors really doing everything they could. The Mavs in those respective categories, and they were doing everything they could to push when they could and find those mismatches and just will the team to victory based on effort. And it almost worked on a night when shooting just wasn't really there, when you're down two guys, you're 2 of your essential players to victory on this team, your 2 star wings, you're a max contract player not available is a big deal, especially down the stretch against a playoff opponent that, you look at who scored the most points for the Mavs tonight, and it was PJ Washington. And I have to imagine that if Wiggins was playing tonight, he's not scoring 32 points. It's not going to happen. So the Warriors playing the way they did, limiting Kyrie the way they did on offense, I thought they did a great job on him. Kyrie struggled shooting from the field, did not shoot his normal, super high shooting percentage. Seemed like every layup he had was contested. The Warriors weren't letting the Mavericks get any easy buckets, despite the fact that their shots weren't falling. And sometimes you see them check out a little bit on the defensive end. When that's the case, tonight they battled through it. They showed up and treated this like a playoff game with playoff intensity. You look at their last 2 losses, the loss to Minnesota and the loss tonight to the Mavericks, and their defensive intensity was exactly where you want to see it. They did not lose either of those 2 games because of lackadaisical defense. And that's a really good sign, because in the playoffs, that's what's going to win you games is your defense. Like Steph Curry is Steph Curry. He's going to do his thing. When you're fully healthy, you got a plethora of scoring options. Somebody to step up, as we said. And in most nights, someone does. But there are some nights occasionally when it doesn't seem like anyone really wants to be that number 2 scorer. You got a bunch of number 3s and number 4s out there. And on those kinds of nights when Wiggins isn't, being super aggressive and Klay looks a little off and Steph is draining a million threes, like you need the defense to show up and you need to win those hustle categories. So the Warriors showing that they can do that tonight. And again, 108, 106. I mean, one or 2 possessions goes differently. This is a Warriors win. And with them playing at the way they did on the defensive end of the ball, they're keeping these margins so close that all you need is a Klay Thompson 3 at the end of the game to win. I'll take that every single time. I'll take that scenario because I know Klay is going to hit a lot of those shots. If you play defense without fouling, you limit turnovers, which the Warriors did for the most part-ish tonight. 15 turnovers. They actually won the turnover battle. Mavs turned it over 18 times. But if you can defend without fouling, limit turnovers, and play defense like they were. How often did you see the Warriors up in people's jerseys tonight? Like the ball pressure was very high all night long. It was great to see. And when they do that, they have a chance to beat anybody in this league. again, no Kuminga, no Wiggins. It's tough when you don't have those two players, especially Wiggins on the defensive end. But they did as well as they could, and the effort made up for those shortcomings tonight, although they did come up short. I'm not mad at this loss. I'm not mad at this loss. You would like to see them beat the Mavs, especially on a night when the Kings and the Pelicans lose. But you can't win them all. You can't win them all. The Warriors aren't going to continue to go, 800 on the road, win percentage wise. They're going to come back down to earth a little bit. And if you lose a game like this, you tip your cap and you say, we'll hopefully see you in the playoffs. So again, 108-106 loss for the Warriors tonight. That's about all the time that we got for you in this one. The Warriors next time out Sunday versus the Utah Jazz, 5:30 tip. We will come to you live after that one. But our next show on Locked On Sports Bay Area is going to be tomorrow after Giants Padres. So tune in for that one as well while you wait for your Warriors on Sunday. Thanks for joining us today on the Locked On Warriors postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will see you next time. Peace.